He's a former British military intelligence officer. Welcome to the programme, Philip.
Good afternoon.
We're talking about the UK sending around 12, 14 tanks, these Challenger tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine is saying it needs 300. Just how much of an impact will this company of tanks make?
It'll make a huge impact, and the 14 tanks is a British Army squadron of tanks. That, combined with the immediate 8 AS-90 self-propelled 155mm guns, that's a battery of guns with other armoured vehicles, will give the Ukrainians probably the smallest grouping that you need to be able to punch through the defences. But then politically, it'll hopefully open the floodgates from other countries who were holding back from supplying tanks.
Other countries like Germany, for example, just in terms of these particular tanks, they do take a lot of training, though. How long does that take, and has any training already been offered? Because we know that in places like Yavori, for example, the base there, the military base there, Ukrainian military have been trained, but on this particular type of tank?
Well, it's a significant difference, because the tanks that the Ukrainians are using at the moment, the old Soviet-era ones, have got a crew of 3. The Challenger tank's got a crew of 4, and there's a new role that they have to learn in there. So there is quite a big training burden and a very big logistic tail that has to come with them as well. I'm sure that some Ukrainian troops have already started training on them. They have been trained in a number of different British Army areas, and their training has been accelerated. So hopefully it'll only be a matter of weeks before we see the tanks being fielded.
So with these tanks coming from the UK, we know that Poland's President Andrzej Duda has been talking about sending a company of Leopard tanks. What kind of pressure does it put on other countries, on Germany, who's been reluctant, on, say, France, for example, to join with this?
Well, I think that's the most significant bit of the UK coming out first to donate. It puts a huge amount of political pressure on other countries. And the difficulty is other countries who've got Leopard tanks, they still have to get Germany's permission to send them off to Ukraine. The Americans might jump in next and provide some. The Americans are providing an infantry fighting vehicle, the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. That, combined with the Challenger tanks, combined with the AS-90, gives the Ukrainians a very significant punch.
So what's your understanding in terms of will Germany allow this to happen?
Well, Germany's got its own political difficulties at the moment, and I think today there's just been a new German defence minister appointed, with the old defence minister having just resigned. The new defence minister has got historical sympathies politically to Russia, so it'll be interesting to see what his first statements are.
And so we're talking about tanks, but also we know that a Patriot missile air defence system will be sent to Ukraine. What else, when they talk about air defences, what else do they need? Because they're calling for a lot more. They have consistently, President Zelensky has been calling for a lot more.
Yeah, with air defence, the Patriot is another part of the layered air defence system. Patriot is an anti-missile missile. So some of the ballistic missiles that we saw fired in the past few days into Ukraine, nothing really the Ukrainians have got can shoot them down. Patriot will help shoot those down. The UK, as part of the package that's coming in, is providing more Starstreak missiles, and you've got missiles that look at different ranges and look at different heights and have different targets. And it's important that you have that sort of, it's like an onion ring or set of onion rings of defensive missiles around towns and critical national infrastructure.
Well, we know that the missile that hit the residential building in Dnipro they were not able to bring that down. Just the ferocity of what we're seeing, the fighting on the ground, the ferocity of the attacks from Russia on Ukraine. What's your assessment? Is it possible to assess how much longer this will go on for, given that we are approaching the year anniversary on the 24th of February?
That's almost how long is a piece of string. I think the momentum sits with the Ukrainians at the moment. The Russians have had a small success in Solidar, but they've been trying to fight against the city of Bakhmut for about 6 months now, not getting very far. The Ukrainians, in that period of time, have taken 2 massive big chunks of territory back that the Russians had captured, took months to capture. I think the Ukrainians are preparing for their next major counteroffensive to take another bite of territory back. And if I was to stick my head in the block and make an assessment, I'd say that the Ukrainians will probably have recaptured most of their territory by the end of this year. But the war will continue, because Crimea will come after that.